got a lot to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, to start with, Tim Burchett wants to start shooting at UFOs, or at least mystery drones. Property owners should be allowed to take down drones with a shotgun, Tim Burchett says. Okay, all right. This is per rollcall.com. Legislation that would make it legal for people to shoot down drones over their property and introduced in March by Representative Tim Burchett is drawing fire from law enforcement and other users of unmanned aerial vehicles. The bill, dubbed the Defense Against Drones Act, permits individuals to use a legally obtained shotgun to shoot down a drone if they reasonably believe it is flying at or below 200 feet above their property. Burchett said, while this legislation does not mandate that the individual who shoots down the drone return it to its owner, they are required to report the incident to the FAA within 60 days. The proposal is probably a long shot, ha ha ha, and it has yet to draw any co-sponsors. But for Burchett, it is part of a larger quest in Congress to unmask mysterious flying objects. So yeah, there you go. Burchett has talked about this before in interviews about how he just wants to get a shotgun and go out shooting at these drones. And he thinks that people should be able to do this. And now he has introduced a bill to allow people to do exactly that. It doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere, but he is swinging for the fences. Hey, maybe he'll get a drone. You never know, right? You never know. Meanwhile, we heard Gary Nolan talk about being threatened, having his life threatened by the control group. And here Lou Elizondo is talking about potential lethal situations involving silencing whistleblowers.
The government is in possession of material, exotic material that doesn't look like it's made by us.
Has there ever been anyone sent to jail because they've spoken about this subject matter?
Worse. And that story has yet to be told. Yes, there are people who have had faced extreme disciplinary actions and potentially worse.
The death penalty?
I'm not going to elaborate right now because there's some things happening to try to. This is why Congress is working hard for whistleblower protections, because we want people to feel safe to come out and have a conversation. And right now they don't feel overly safe. They've seen some of the tactics and techniques that were applied to try to keep people quiet in the past. Let me say this in general terms. People say, oh, well, the government would never kill anybody to protect a secret. Try going to Area 51 and look at the signs on that chain link fence where it says lethal force authorized.
Okay, there you go. Of course, I would argue that maybe a different circumstance going on to restricted property like that, different than the control group seeking somebody out to off, which unfortunately I'm sure has happened many times, even in modern times. David Grush and Chris Mellon have both alluded to that happening to whistleblowers or potential whistleblowers they knew. Chris was on the way to speak to somebody that might be coming forward with some information who mysteriously died. And Grush has also alluded to something like that. Unclear if it's the same individual. It didn't seem to be. But yeah, this still seems to be going on in our modern era. They also seek to discredit and, imprison people as well. So yeah, it's disturbing that this is happening. It's unclear to me how much difference whistleblower protections would make to this sort of criminal activity. According to Gary, there is a legal pretext for some of this stuff, apparently, Gary Nolan, but this can't be legal in large part, right? This has got to be criminal activity in large part, this murdering of individuals to silence them. So what do we do about criminal activity? Well, Danny Sheehan has been talking about pursuing the control group with RICO measures, that is, organized crime laws used to go after the mafia, could also be used to go after the control group. Now, I think that's an amazing idea. I love it. I hope that happens. There's nothing more corrupt than the UFO control group. So kudos to Danny for pursuing that. I, hope he is taking care of himself. Surely he is such a high profile person that that wouldn't be an issue, but I would have thought the same for Gary Nolan. But here, Stephen Greer is also talking about similar measures as far as like pursuing the control group with RICO.
The side of it is people who are in those programs or have been in them who do not cooperate can be arrested and charged under RICO, Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization, as a co-conspirator and as having been involved, even if you didn't know the program was illegal. One of the things about RICO, the left hand doesn't have to know what the right hand's doing. So at this point, I'm telling people you need to come forward. There's protection in place. We will provide you direct to the people who can provide that immunization federally against all crimes and also protect you. But it needs to start picking up steam. I'm making a call.
Okay, so there you go. Stephen Greer trying to protect people, also talking about RICO. I think that's really interesting that that could turn out to be a factor in all of this. Speaking of Dr. Stephen Greer, he's well known for popularizing human-initiated contact with the phenomenon. Dick Haynes, who is a doctor, Dr. Richard Haynes, who is a skeptic of CE5, sought out to disprove CE5 in Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, and ultimately came out in favor of CE5. He saw that it was legit. Let's listen to him talk about that for just a minute.
Attempted to do is to develop an approach which is proactive and organizes the participants, the humans, in a way that might somehow attract the attention and get a response back from the phenomenon.
He's talking about Stephen Greer, of course.
And that's what he claims to have done. Now, I set out to disprove that. I really did, because I didn't think it really would work. It wouldn't happen. And much to my surprise, after doing a lot of reading and searching, I came across over 200 cases worldwide, not just America, where people have done exactly that.
Okay, there you go. I'll let you watch the full video at your leisure, but a skeptic went out trying to disprove human-initiated contact, ultimately realized it was real. It's amazing. It is real. The consciousness, the phenomenon does interact with our consciousness. It's just super fascinating. I think it's a very important part of the phenomenon and one we can't overlook. And of course, that Skywatcher is using that to their benefit along with technological means. Skywatcher also talked about jellyfish UFOs. Well, Think Tank is sharing a possible jellyfish UFO. Okay, music playing. Okay, but yeah, they're driving down the road and they see what might be a jellyfish UFO. I don't think that's a kite. I mean, look at that thing. That looks pretty anomalous to me, guys. What do you think? Is that anomalous? Or is that a kite? Is that a bird? Is that a raccoon? To me, that looks pretty solid. I don't know if that's a jellyfish UFO, because we've seen these weird smoky UFOs before. I kind of lean in the direction of that being one of the smoky ghost UFOs instead of a jellyfish UFO. But either way, it's pretty cool. Let me know what you think. Speaking of cool, check out this awesome UFO captured by John Bell of Real Florida UFO. He gets these fast-moving UFOs all the time. Some of them change direction. But look how huge that is. Now, could that be explained by a shooting star? Maybe. But damn, to me, that does not look like a shooting star. That looks like a structured craft. I mean, look at that thing. It looks like a lenticular UFO flying very fast, maybe very close to him. He does have orbs that come very close to him. One of them collided with his truck, rattling his multi-ton military-style vehicle. But look at that. That's in real time, that object going super fast. Again, here's the slow-mo of it, where you can see the structure of this object. Okay, here it is right there. I think that's just a brilliant capture from John. He goes out and gets nightly captures on his channel, Real Florida UFO. I'll link to it below. Highly recommend you check it out. Oh, and here's another awesome UFO video from John showing a UFO that is pulsing, seeming possibly to try to communicate with him. I showed that video from John Keel the other day, talking about communicating with UFOs using a Morse code and then a code that he invented. And the UFOs would pulse back and they would respond to what he was saying and even directions he was giving. Now, John isn't giving any directions other than a desire to interact. But here we have a UFO. I don't think that's a satellite. I don't think that's a star. I think we're looking at a UFO. I think that's a great capture from John of possibly an orb or a spherical craft that is communicating with John and letting him know it's there and saying hello. But let me know what you think. Here's another great capture from John Bell. Check it out. We have objects that are changing direction. They're kind of hard to see. They're way up there. They're kind of faint, but you can see these two objects right there. And then one changes direction and goes down. And they continue moving and changing direction as we proceed with the video. Yeah, there you go. You can just faintly pick them out right there. I don't think those are birds, which is the only other logical explanation. To me, they don't look or move like birds would. And it's so faint. I would love to see an enhanced version of this video. But you can see these objects changing direction and just going throughout the sky, kind of hanging out, but also moving apart from each other. Anyway, another great capture, in my opinion, from John Bell. Meanwhile, Sayre Graham, who supported the UAP task force while working at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, per Obliterate the Construct, discusses her near-death experience, bringing her psychic abilities online. Cool. I love near-death experiences, and to hear from somebody like this with her background, pretty cool. Let's give a listen.
You've had an NDE yourself, a near-death experience.
I have.
Wow.
Surgery went well. When I first wake up, I went back to sleep and the nurse said, I'll wake you back up in a little bit. And then I heard her say, she's not breathing. And I said, who's not? The next thing I knew, I actually saw blackness and had a whole, experience visiting with loved ones. Eventually God or source or whoever you might believe in told me I had to leave and it wasn't my time. And I'm like, my time where? Where am I going? This is great. So I argued. After that experience, I was able to start having more psychic visions that happened. My worlds truly collided at one time. So I briefed the director of NSA, the Dernza. He was a 4-star general. And I briefed him and left the briefing to go to my psychic medium appointment. And at that appointment, the healer told me I could do what she's doing and I could be in her seat. And I said, sign me up.
Professional and more external society and how they deal with this is one thing. But
I love that. Briefing a general and then going to her psychic medium. I love it. That is just so awesome. That's an encapsulation of the phenomena right there. So yeah, she worked in some capacity with the UAP task force or in some periphery to the UAP task force. Meanwhile, developing her psychic abilities after near-death experience. Of course, with near-death experiences, that's actually pretty common for people to develop abilities after these experiences. Or to get in touch with abilities they always had but didn't know they had. So an incredible story. I love it. Are you a near-death experiencer? If so, did you develop any abilities after your experiences? Meanwhile, Peter Maxwell Slattery, one of my favorite experiencers, shares another UFO video captured during a C5 or a human-initiated contact experience at Jaya Sanctuary in Australia.
Move him.
Wow. Give us a flash. Come on. Look at that. It's just sort of hovering. That's awesome. Oh no, he's on the move.
You're getting fainter?
Yeah, it's
He's getting fainter.
That was a different colour though, wasn't it?
yeah.
He was hovering around the trees for a while. That's why I was seeing it.
It's gone.
It's disappearing. It's just gone. Yeah.
It pulsed really brightly and hung out for a while, saying hello. and then it boogied off. Meanwhile, Jason Wilde is talking about the horned skulls, or the horned skull people of Sayre. I had never heard of this, but it seems like it's on the periphery of the giant story. Yeah, check it out. All right, ever heard of the horned skulls of Sayre? Now, this isn't some dude on Reddit who said he saw a skull. This was a documented excavation in the 1880s, led by respected figures like Dr. G.P. Donahue, A.B. Skinner, and W.K. Moorhead. So, yeah, he has interesting thoughts on this phenomenon of these people that were, or these remains that were found of these horned people. So I went to Grok to see what the skinny was on this. And yeah, apparently this was a real thing. The excavation took place in the late 1800s in an area known for its historical significance near the New York state line. The skeletons were described as anatomically human except for the horns and their exceptional height. Reports claim the remains were buried ceremonially, suggesting cultural or ritual importance. The individuals were linked to the Sasquatchenic people, a Native American group in the region, though their height and horns set them apart from typical human remains of the period. At the time, the average height for Europeans was around 5'6", while Native Americans were thought to average closer to 6 feet. The 7-foot stature of these skeletons would have been extraordinary. They were sent to a museum for further study. However, the trail ends there. The skeletons reportedly vanished with no record of photographs, follow-up studies, or their current whereabouts. Sounds like the giants that were sent to the Smithsonian that then disappeared. Multiple of them, numerous giants found in mounds and so on, sent to the Smithsonian. Apparently, the same fate befell the horned skulls of Sayre, which I had never heard about. This possibly subgroup of the giants, potentially, seemingly found the same way and seemingly vanished the same way. And, you know, like Jason Wilde says, he says in this post that it was really them vanishing that make him take this case seriously. You know, and that's the same for me too. If there wasn't something to hide, they wouldn't be hiding it. But yeah, so what do you think about the horned skulls of Sayre? Do you know anything more about them? Have you been able to study them? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Meanwhile, Ronnie Vernet is sharing this video, really cool video. Alleged luminous beings with violet light above their heads were caught on a home security camera. The family saw the alert and recorded it from the phone screen. Okay, I love Ronnie. He's cool. He actually went down to the Amazon to check out the UFO flap down there and saw UFOs and also poltergeist, apparently. And this is the video he's talking about. Look at that. Very recent video of this, whatever the heck is going on. Is that a ghost? Is that an alien? What is that? Pretty cool. Well, okay, here we go. Okay, I guess we're doing a time jump, and then we get that thing. What, what are we looking at here, guys? What are we looking at here? Is this CGI? Is this a hoax? Is this a legit thing that actually happened? Is this a camera artifact? To me, this doesn't look like a camera artifact. I'm not seeing this as a hoax. But to me, this looks pretty anomalous. I think this is very likely legit, and that it's a really intriguing, whatever the hell it is. Looks more paranormal to me, but you never know. Could be alien somehow. Other dimensional. A weird sighting, guys, but I love it. This thing is strange. What is it doing? It almost looks like it's got like legs or something. Like, you know, you can see these two things. Reminds me of the night crawlers a little bit. But you can see this arc almost like a rainbow. You know, it could be some sort of a light pattern, but you know, yeah, could it be some sort of refracted light or something? I've never seen any light like that, guys. But let me know if you have. It's kind of walking around a little bit or something. Let me know what you think about this crazy light. That's a wild. Love it. Last but not least, Nature is Amazing says the happiest dog I've seen in my life. Let's take a gander. I love it. Look at that guy. Yeah, he's pretty happy. He's pretty happy. Oh, come on, that's adorable. Doing a little dance. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, let me know what you think about this awesome dog and everything else covered today in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and Rumble. Links below. Love to see you guys there. Buy a t-shirt, buy a book, become a channel member, and there's plenty of other videos on the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. See you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road.